Hello friends, welcome to our channel. In today's session, we'll be starting with our next topic, that is nothing but the heat transfer mechanism. In our earlier session, we have discussed the different types of thermodynamic processes and laws related to the thermodynamics we have discussed. Now in today's session, based on those laws of thermodynamics, for example, from the first law of thermodynamics, we have received one concept that whatever the amount of heat it is there, amount of heat it is provided to the system, dq, it will be used for to increase the internal energy and to perform the sum work done. Okay, so first law of thermodynamics tells us that amount of heat can be converted into the work done, and some amount of part it is given to the increase the temperature of the system. So what it means, it states that heat can be converted into work. On the contrary, we can also say that work can be converted into heat, but there are certain limitations when you are considering conversion of heat into the work done. Okay, so this has been done with the some kind of special devices, those we call it as an engine. Okay, so it was the Rudolf Diesel. He was a German physicist. He was an by profession he was an engineer. In 18th century, he devised a one engine on his and he patented that one, and that was nothing but the diesel engine. Nowadays also we are using a diesel engines. Okay, so with that, one more scientist was there whose name was Carnot. He proposed a one theoretical engine. Actually, it was free from all the defects or limitations which we will be getting, and he proposed one theoretical engine which consists of these different parts. Okay, so the theoretical engine from the Carnot, it consists of the different parts. For example, it contains a cylinder, okay, which is fitted with a frictionless piston. It consists of a cylinder which is fitted with a frictionless piston. Then it has a source which is kept at a certain temperature T1, okay, whose temperature of this source, it is greater than the temperature of this sink. Means it is a heat provider, and it is a heat acceptor. Means whatever amount of heat which will be given from this source, after extracting or after converting some amount of heat into the work, some of the part of the heat which will be rejected, it will be given to this sink. Okay, and this is an insulating stand which is provided in this one. Okay, so basic Carnot cycle, it has a 4 cycles, or it has a 4 different operation. You can see from this figure, it has a C1 C2, then C2 C3, then C3 to C4, and again from C4 to C1. So these are 4 operations which again regains its original position. We are starting from the point C1, we are going to point C2, then C3, and from C3 to C4, and again from C4 to C1. Means we are starting with some point and we are again returning at the same point. That is why it is called as a cycle. That is why it is sometimes it is also referred as a Carnot cycle. So Carnot cycle consists of 4 operations. First of all, we will list those 4 operations. What are those 4 operations are there? So first operation it is there, that is called as an isothermal expansion. The first operation it is there, reversible isothermal expansion. Reversible isothermal expansion. That is the first operation. This is the first operation. Then which is represented on this graph, it is represented from C1 to C2. Okay, we can say that here C1 to C2, that is the first operation. This is the first operation. Then second operation. In this first operation, what has been done in this first operation, what has been done? Then this cylinder which consists of a 1 mole of a gas. This cylinder which consists of a 1 mole of gas, it is taken and it is kept on this source. Okay, now see the lower surface of this cylinder, it is shaded with a black color. What does this black color means? This black color means this surface is conducting. It's a good conductor of heat. It is a good conductor of heat. So whatever the amount of heat it is there from this source upper surface, it is also conducting in nature. So when this cylinder it is kept on this source, this will be in thermal contact with this, As it is at a higher temperature T1, so the gas molecules which are inside this cylinder, it will acquire a temperature T1. Okay, it will acquire a temperature T1. So in isothermal expansion, let us say initially the volume of the gas is P1 V1. As we are providing the heat from the first law of thermodynamics, being an isothermal expansion, we have calculated the work done. Okay, so in this first process, we are getting the work done. Okay, let us say W is the work done which you are getting in the first cycle, that is, let us say W1. So what is that work done which we have calculated? It is nRT log V2 by V1. nRT log ln of V2 by V1. That is the formula which we have derived in our one of the earlier lecture. Okay, V2 by V1. So what is V2? It is the final volume. V1 is the initial volume. When we are saying that gas is expanding, this piston is moving upward. So let us say initial volume was P1 V1 and final volume is V2. Final volume is V2. So your work done in that case, it will be nRT ln of final volume which is V2, initial volume is V1. Okay, so this is about the isothermal expansion. So this is your first cycle isothermal expansion. Now what we will do in the second case? What we will be having, it is an again your volume is increasing from C2 to C3. It is again an expansion, but that expansion it is adiabatic expansion. This is an adiabatic expansion. This is also a reversible process. Okay, adiabatic expansion. Adiabatic expansion, it is change is represented by C2 C3. From this curve, it is represented by C2 C3. Okay, C2 to C3. Okay. Now here in this case, being an adiabatic process, what happened in the first case when it was going from C1 to C2, means when this cylinder was kept on this source, whatever the amount of heat it is there in the source, it has been given to this cylinder, means this gas has acquired a temperature T1. As it being an isothermal process, so at this point also the temperature of the gas, it is T1. Being an C1 C2 is an isothermal curve, so at point C2 the temperature of the gas is T1. Okay, the temperature of the gas is T1. Okay, now we are starting from C2. We have removed this cylinder from this source. Okay, we have removed this cylinder from this source and we have kept it on an insulating stand. Now what does that mean? It is an insulating stand. It is shown with a this dash lines. Okay, what this region indicates? It indicates an insulating stand, or it is an insulating region. What do you mean by insulating region? Means this this cylinder, it will not be going to give any kind of heat to this insulating stand, because the rest of the parts of this cylinder, it is shown with this lines, means it is perfectly insulating in nature. This region is insulating, this is the region is insulating, and this is insulating stand. So whole the gas which is enclosed inside this cylinder, it cannot exchange heat to the surrounding. Okay, so it means the process which it is followed by this gas, it is an adiabatic process. But in this case, the external pressure on this piston, is adjusted such that the gas will expand. And as the gas expands, so being as heat is not given to the system, as it is not given or taken from the system, so it is an adiabatic process. Volume is expanding, so piston is moving up in upward direction. So it is an adiabatic expansion. So the change, it has been shown with C2 C3. Now we know that from first law of thermodynamics. What is first law of thermodynamics? dq is equal to du plus dw. As we are not providing any amount of heat, so this quantity is zero. This is equal to du plus dw, means whatever the amount of work done we will be getting, that will be due to the decrease in the internal energy. And we know that internal energy is a function of temperature. So the temperature of the gas will fall from T1 to T2. The temperature of the gas will fall from T1 to T2. And the work done in this case, which we will be getting, so we will be writing the work done which we will be getting for this case, it will be W2. We have already derived the work done during an adiabatic process. What is that work done during an adiabatic process? It is R in bracket R in bracket, that is T1 minus T2, that is T1 minus T2 divided by gamma minus 1, divided by gamma minus 1. This is the work done which we have derived in our earlier classes. I had given you that time an assignment. It was in terms of P1 V1 and P2 V2. I told you to convert it into, by using the equation PV is equal to, you can convert it into temperature. So this relation which I had given you for an assignment, that we are using over here, RT1 minus T2 divided by gamma minus 1. This is the work done which you are getting in the cycle C2, C3. So now remember, now we are at the point C3 where the pressure is P3, volume is V3 and temperature is T2. Now we'll move with the third cycle. Okay, now we'll move in with the third cycle from C3 to C4. Now see, we are moving towards this side, means gas is compressed. Okay, and during that time, again, during that time, what it will be again kept on the, it will be kept on the this cylinder. It is moved from this insulating stand, it is kept on the sink. Okay, so when this cylinder, it will be kept on the sink, so this surface of this cylinder sink, it is conducting in nature. Cylinder's lower surface is conducting in nature, means whatever amount of heat it is there, or it is there, it can, both cylinder and sink can exchange the heat amongst each other. Okay, now we know that the temperature of the sink is lower than the T1 temperature. Okay, so whatever amount of heat it will be there, it will be given to this sink. Okay, so third operation which is there, it is an isothermal compression. It is an isothermal compression. Now next operation is the isothermal compression, and the change, it is represented by the curve C3 C4. The change is represented by the curve C3 C4. Okay, now what will happen when this cylinder is kept on this sink? Okay, both lower surface, this sink's upper surface and this cylinder's lower surface, they are conducting in nature, means they can exchange heat with each other. Okay, as sink is having an infinite thermal capacity, so whatever the T2 is the temperature of sink, the same temperature it will be attained by this cylinder. Okay, so in this process the temperature of the system is constant, that is why it is an isothermal process, and the external pressure on this cylinder piston is adjusted in such a way that, okay, the volume will decrease from V3 to V4, and we know that being an isothermal process, the work done during an isothermal process, it is nothing but nRT ln of V2 by V1, or final volume by divided by initial volume. Here in this case, final volume is V4 divided by initial volume, it is V3. Okay, this will be. In the first case, it was an isothermal expansion. The temperature of the gas was T1, so I will give over here T1, nRT1, ln of V2 by V1. Okay, so that is the work done during the first case. Work done during the third case, C3, C4, we have calculated nRT ln of V4 by V3. Okay, now imagine we are at this point. Okay, C3. Now, what will happen? We'll again remove the cylinder from the sink. Okay, we'll again remove the cylinder from the sink and we will put it on the insulating stand. Now, when this cylinder, it will be kept on this insulating stand, so what will happen? The cylinder's lower surface is conducting, but stand is insulating in nature. So no heat exchange between the gas molecules which are there inside this cylinder and then the surrounding or this insulating stand, means it is an adiabatic process because heat is not given to the system. So the fourth process it is there, that is adiabatic, and the external pressure is adjusted such that we will move from C3 to C1. It means your volume is going to decrease, so it is again an compression. So it is adiabatic compression, and the change it is represented by the curve C4 C1. Okay, the change is represented by the curve C4 C1, means we are going from this point to this point. Now see, being an isothermal process, whatever was the temperature over here, so same temperature it will be maintained at this point from C3, C4, because it was an isothermal process. Now, as we are again regaining the original position, so in this point, the temperature of the gas was T1. So your temperature is going from T2 to T1. So in that case, the work done which will be getting, so that will be W4. The work done it will be W4 R into T1 minus T2. Here in this case we have taken T1 minus T2. So here in this case we have to take T2 minus T1. So that will be R in bracket T2, this T2 minus T1 divided by gamma minus 1. So this will be the work done which we will be getting in the fourth case. Okay. Now, what we have to assume is that these are the work done which we have received during these four different processes. Now we have to think about the quantity, because whenever we are using any kind of a machine, we have to think about the one parameter that is called as an efficiency. We have to think about the one parameter, it is called as efficiency. Now, what is efficiency? Efficiency is means I'm providing a some amount of heat to the some engine or some device, and I'm getting a some amount of work done. Okay, let us say Q is the amount of heat I have provided. Okay, so it is input. This is input heat. Okay, and suppose we are getting a some amount of work done. W is the work done I am getting from this one. So what is this work done W? It is an output. This is an output which I am getting over here. So how will you define an efficiency? Efficiency is nothing but the output divided by input. Efficiency of anything, it will be divided by output. How much work done you are getting? How much work done you are getting divided by how much amount of heat you have provided. So it is W